What is up, true believers? The eternal truth. The eternal truth. The eternal truth. The eternal truth behind our modern mythology.
What is up, true believers? It's Mason here with Comics and Crosses, where we discuss the eternal truths behind our modern mythology. And today is Monday, January 10th. January 10th. And I am excited to be back here for a second week. This is our episode 4. Comics and Crosses, the Comics and Crosses morning show is going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to help get you through your week. And I hope that I can be a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of fun talk, discussion, just to kind of get your day going. So, as I said, yeah, today is Monday. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I had an okay weekend. I got to see the 49ers make it into the playoffs. So that was cool. I'm originally from Northern California, so and football is big in our household. Now I'm here in Texas, where football's big all around. So yeah. So, and in fact, the Niners will be playing in Dallas, so that's pretty cool. And but anyhow, I have been working a lot. I've been working basically. Well, before, but for sure every day in January, nonstop. At work, we have a big online event that goes all through the month of January, 31 days. So it's quite the marathon. And it got me thinking about the subject of rest. I was here at my desk. I look over and I have a rack here of comic books that I'm reading, the stuff that I get every week, I put on the rack. And I was looking at it and just thinking, man, when was the last time I got to sit down and just read some comic books? Which, you know, I kind of squeeze it in between stuff that's going on. But it got me thinking on the subject of rest, on, you know, getting to decompress because I've been working every day. Not something I typically hear people talking about in the comic book community, but I thought it would be good. So we're going to get to that in just a second. But to start off, I always like to kind of touch on some of the latest goings on, since this is a, 3 times a week show. And, it's getting your day going. I like to hear the latest news in the morning. However, with a comic book focus, since we're on the Comics and Crosses morning show. So, so actually it turns out I heard over the weekend that Andrew Garfield, I guess you have to know. I mean, even if you're avoiding spoilers at this point, but Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are in No Way Home. I hope I did not just make any enemies by revealing that. But so they're in No Way Home. We get all the Spider-Man that we've seen on screen so far, at least on the big screen. And so Andrew Garfield, it was confirmed that he is coming back for at least one more Spider project. He really kind of stole the show in No Way Home. And I think he was it's hard. I mean, there's very varied opinions on, on Andrew Garfield, but, like on the Amazing Spider-Man, because they were not great movies. However, his Peter Parker kind of had the spirit of Peter Parker. He felt like a high school kid up until, Tom Holland's really feels like a high school kid. But, so I know some people really hate those movies. Some people really love them. But, I mean, he really had a certain magic about him. I think that shined well. His kind of quippiness shined well in No Way Home. And so they say he's coming back. So if you like Andrew Garfield, if you like the Amazing Spider-Man movies, you're going to get more of that. So that's pretty exciting. I think that's a win. I think there have been some really good wins for fans of of superhero and comic book content, for fans of just sci-fi action media. I mean, first of all, the Snyder Cut was released on HBO Max this past year in 2021, I believe. So that was something that fans were clamoring for, that had kind of been dropped. Warner Brothers was trying to move on from the Zack Snyder directed Justice League movie, but he got to come back and do his own director's cut. So, and even reshoot content. That was a big win for fans, and I thought tremendously better than the original cut. I mean, it's weird because it didn't seem all that different, but it was. It was different in the right ways, that it felt right. So beyond that, we got now this No Way Home movie, which was a lot of great fan service, but not in a cheap sort of way. I thought it came across great. So today is brought to you by Nespresso again. A little bit of almond flavoring. Anybody else like the almond flavoring? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so more Spider-Man movies coming out. We also got, there's certainly going to be a Venom 3. I think that was successful enough. We got obviously a bunch of Marvel movies coming out, and the Multiverse of Madness. Who knows? I'm hearing rumors of, I won't even say what I'm hearing rumors of because I don't want to spoil it for anybody out there, but maybe you've heard the same rumors too. So, so that is what's going on there. Today is Monday. At the end, we'll get to my pull list for this this week, for what's coming out Tuesday, Wednesday, and any comic books I think are worth picking up. And then, but I'm curious to always hear what other people are picking up as well. So please let me know in the comments section whether you're watching this on replay or if you're here live with me. So for right now, let's see if I can pull a little graphic up here. Let's create a banner. Comic books, rest, and mental health. Okay, so this is a subject I wanted to talk about today. Is comic books, rest, and mental health. So like I said, I have been working the past 10 days, I guess now, but even before that, in preparation for this big online event at work, I get to work from home. That's why I kind of put some pizzazz into my office, and then that led to the channel starting in 2020, I believe. Wow. So it'll be 2 years coming up this year later. I work from home, and so I've been working a lot. And like I said, I was just thinking about, it would be so nice to just be able to sit and read comic books, just relax, decompress. I am married. I have 2 children under 5, 4 and 2, and I do not get good sleep ever. So life can be pretty exhausting. Plus, I work a kind of demanding job. And then, but would you believe it if I said that this was like rest for me? I started doing the morning show because I just have a burning desire in my heart to communicate, to reach out to people, to talk, to share my thoughts, maybe to be heard, and to encourage people, to influence people. And so this is like rest for me. I think sometimes some of the other things that I do, I think we all have things in our life that we do that we feel like we have to do. So you never fully feel rested until you're doing what you... Let me say it this way. There's a difference between doing what you have to do and doing what you must do, right? So some people are artists out there, they are compelled, like, you must put your pencil to paper, otherwise your soul will start to crack at the seams. And that's how I feel with communicating. And so I think a lot of us have God-given talents and things, passions, creativities, desires that we got to use. Otherwise, we won't ever truly feel rested. And so even though I do have a busy life, I felt as if starting this morning show and this YouTube channel was going to deliver to me more rest than I was currently experiencing without it. So if that makes sense. And I wanted to talk about mental health, because rest and mental health and this sort of thing, because it actually is, in my opinion, a big thing in the comic book community. The comic book community is very active on Twitter, also Instagram, of course. Don't see a ton on Facebook, but I know it's there. I have this broadcasting into Facebook as well, if you guys ever wanted to check it out there. But when I first started doing my channel and taking on the Comics and Crosses persona, or the created that brand, I remember it was a very big thing that a prominent member of the comic book community, Comic Jabroni, I believe, passed away, committed suicide, lost his battle with mental health and possibly depression. I don't know the details of the situation. And then there was another person not long after that I saw was lost to mental health, to depression. Here's a couple things that I think, and here's why I'm bringing it up. I think that rest and mental health is very important, and I want to talk about it in context of comic book fans, because let me be straight with you, okay? I'm always going to cut it straight with you. So I think that those of us who lean towards collecting, almost hoarding, these collectibles, these comic books. We have big collections in our house. We have these special fortresses of solitude that we built, like you see behind me here, comic book fans. I think anybody who's doing that probably has a bent towards being a homebody, bent towards being isolated a little bit. And so I see a lot of people in the community reaching out or making mention of struggling with depression, with mental health, with anxiety. I think the reality is that some of those things just come with the territory. And I have struggled with personally with lifelong depression and anxiety in the recent maybe 5 to 10 years or so. And I can tell you that the greatest thing that I have to push back that kind of darkness is exercise, physically, is prayer, spiritually, meditation. So if you're not getting outside, if you're not, getting out into the world, it can be a little tough. And so I would ask, are you guys getting time to rest? Are you getting time to be balanced, to be clear, to get exercise? Those things are important. And here's what I found too. I'm a lot more peaceful reading comic books, sitting and reading comic books, than I am scrolling through Twitter or Instagram. It has that slot machine kind of flashing lights, addictive quality to it. Social media. I think there's a great documentary on Netflix. What was it called? Not The Social Network. That was the movie with Andrew Garfield. Hey. Yeah, I forget what it's called. But oh wait, I'm sorry. I've been ignoring the chat over here. What's up, Lost in Comics? Yeah. So anyhow, sorry, I lost my train of thought, noticing the chat all of a sudden. Sorry, I got different buttons here, different tabs, and so I'm still getting used to this whole navigating thing. Social dilemma. Thank you. In the words of Jesse Ventura, I ain't got no time to bleed. What's up, aggressively relaxing? Yeah, social dilemma is really good. And I do bring it up from the standpoint of a comic book fan. And I don't know what time you guys tuned in with me here, but yeah, it's important for us as people, as comic book collectors, to take care of ourselves, to be healthy. And in fact, you might be surprised. Here's something I don't hear people talk about a lot from a Christian perspective, is that rest is actually a biblical idea. In fact, you ever hear that thing about, you've seen those memes where it's like, oh, the land is starting to heal. We were the problem. And it sounds very like, kind of earthier. I don't know what the word is, like, very green, very, and it doesn't sound like a Christian idea, but actually in the Bible, God commanded his people to rest every seventh day, right? You heard of the Sabbath, right? So there's this concept in it, living a godly life, that one must rest at the end of the week. And that was part of, and in fact, it was a sin, and it still is for people who were like hardcore Jewish, like hippie. For people who are hardcore Jewish, they still on like Saturdays, which is actually their Sabbath, they will not work. They will not. Some people won't even flip a light switch on. Like it gets very intense depending on how strictly you follow the code. And in the Old Testament of the Bible, right, the Jewish people did not rest for 490 years. So they were supposed to rest once every week, and then every seventh year, they were supposed to stop working the land. That's why I bring up the idea of like the land is resting. We were the problem, and they didn't do it for almost 500 years. So as a consequence, as the Bible records it, they were forced to go into exile. They were captured by another nation, and they were in captivity for 70 years, basically paying back the time of rest so that their land got to rest. Now, that sounds a little crazy. That's not a Bible story you typically hear. But the point I'm trying to make is that rest is actually crucial to the way humans were created. Indulge me, if you're not a Christian, indulge me in the idea that, what if we had a creator, and what if there was an intention to the way we were designed that required rest? Why might this be? Well, it could be because I think people can relate to the idea that you're going so hard and you're trying to make things happen for yourself to the point where you're working to your own detriment. You ever work so hard, or keep going in one path so long that you're actually harming yourself? Like, efficiency is going through the floor. Like, I went to film school, right? And if you don't know, in the film industry, like, people are making movies and TV shows. A 12-hour day is pretty standard, is like minimum. So these guys are working up to 14, 16-hour days, and there's been talk about putting limits on that, unions limiting how late they work. But it's like, there's so much money invested in filming, and they're just trying to get as much done as they can. And a professor of mine who had worked in the film industry told me, he said, after 12 hours anyway, efficiency really just goes through the floor. It's like, people are there, but everybody's working so much slower. They're so much dumber. It's, it just, there's a culture in life that really endorses grinding, but, and there's times for working hard. There's certainly seasons where you're going to work harder than others, but I would propose that rest is a part of how we're wired and how we're created. Now, obviously, we have to sleep, but beyond that, like I said, doing this show is rest for me. Like, it's rest for my soul. If I don't reach out and talk and communicate to people and talk about what I love, talk about my faith, talk about comic books, talk about superheroes, talk about movies that I'm excited to see coming out, then it is a detriment to my soul. Like, it is a place of rest for me. The way I was in that, this is the way I was created. So for those of you out there in the interwebs, how were you created? I know we have Lost in Comics on here. Chris and David been doing that show. Oscar was with them before it, and man, I mean, they were compelled to do that because they have a passion, for comic books, just like me. And and they're doing something that they love. So what are you wired to do? How are you created? What's inside of you that will be rest to your soul? Um, and I think that that's the big thing. So these are some thoughts, for the week that I hope steer you in a healthy direction, talking about rest and what it is that rejuvenates your soul versus sapping you and taking away from your energy. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you doing what fills you up this week? Ask yourself, because I think a lot of times the Christian perspective that I am that I am offering to the comic book community. I know that a lot of times the Christian perspective is viewed as a do not, abstain from, don't touch, criticize kind of perspective. But the perspective that I'm actually advocating as a Christian person is one that is realigning yourself with how you were designed, right? So meaning you're not going to grind past your limits, past what you were really meant to do, that you're not going to keep going on without rejuvenating yourself, without doing what it is that you were designed to do. Now, that may feel like a far off idea for some people. They may be like, I don't know, man. I just go to work. I have no hungers or desires or no longings within my soul. I am completely content. And for that, I am grateful. Then maybe, maybe you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. There was a film meeting this weekend. No one's free until we were all free. Oh, snap. Wow. Then this is quite timely. Although I don't know that the film union's listening to me, except for aggressively. If you're in the film union, that is super cool. Yeah. So these are my thoughts, guys. I appreciate you tuning and listening, and I hope that my desire is always that this would be like just a breath of fresh air, throughout your week. So we're here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern. And okay, so last thing I wanted to do is just chat a little bit about what's coming out this week. So I'm going to go to my pull list here. And what are you guys picking up? Let me know in the chat. It's a okay week, decent week. We got, I guess, Detective Comics is coming out weekly right now because of that Shadow of the Bat storyline. So first issue was kind of cool. I will say, I don't want to spoil it if you haven't read Detective Comics yet. You're in the film industry aggressively? Let us know. The people want to know. Yeah, so I like the new storyline in Detective. I'm really curious to see what they do with this Arkham Tower idea, but I will say I was disappointed already to find out that they kind of gave a flash to the ending in this last issue, and I was a little disappointed that it's going to go that direction so quickly, personally. But maybe they'll crush it. So Daredevil Woman Without Fear comes out this week. So Chip Zdarsky is continuing on this line of Elektra being Daredevil, and she's getting her own comic for that. So that's pretty cool. Whoops. The Amazing Spider-Man continues with the whole Beyond storyline with Ben Reilly. I've been enjoying that. Joker comes out, and Joker's been one of the best new ongoings. It's really, I think, a lot of rich stuff if you've been a Batman fan a long time, and Tynion's doing a great job with that. Usually one of my favorites every week. And then Robin and Batman, the story of Dick's early years as Robin, is very cool. Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man's been good lately. I couldn't read it for a while, but it's back to being interesting, taking it new places, so I like that. Stillwater, one of my favorites. I don't know if anybody out there is still on Stillwater, but another Zdarsky book, but on Image, and that one has been really interesting. And King of Spies #2 is also out. That who writes that? I forget, but I like the first issue. I know it's somebody, Mark Miller. Yeah. So Mark Miller's written some great stuff in his day. So that is what's coming out this week. I also picking up Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four. I want to do a segment on the zaniness of Fantastic Four versus the zaniness of the Flash. I think they're like parallels, and in like Marvel and DC, when I think of like zany stuff, like they're probably just like these classic comics that are classically crazy that I just can't stop reading, even though sometimes I feel like this is a little silly. But that's just how I feel about it. Anyway, it's going to be a great week. God bless you guys. I mean it. I hope that you get time to rest this week. I hope that you are doing what you're doing from a place of rest. I hope that you are doing what fills you up, and just living in line with how you were created to be. So, God bless, people. I really appreciate you. Appreciate Aggressively Comics and Crosses coming on. I mean, Lost in Comics. I'm Comics and Crosses. Lost in Comics coming in on the chat, and we will see you. A book that you enjoy. Oh, Knighted. Yeah, I haven't been picking up AWA stuff lately. Because I was thinking I wanted to just get the trades on like um the whole Straczynski universe, AWA universe. But we'll see. Anyway, that is all for now. Peace out, people. I will see you on Wednesday at 8 a.m.